Hello, hello, beautiful family. How are you all? So, I recently embarked on a trip that was meant to take me just a few hours, and it ended up taking me 53 and a half hours. I got delays and canceled flights and lost suitcases, and I also gained some really powerful reflections that I wanted to share with you. So, okay, a little bit of context. I have just landed in Costa Rica. I was in magical Sedona with a couple of dear friends, and I proceeded to go to Costa Rica knowing it was going to be an easy trip. To my surprise, it ended up taking me from the moment I left their house to the moment I arrived to my Airbnb in Costa Rica. It took me 53 and a half hours. 53 and a half hours. I have been traveling my whole life from the time I'm like 15. I travel a lot. I move a lot. And I had never experienced so many hiccups and out of the blue cancellations and delays and things like that. So again, for context, so I ended up being in one airport for 6 hours. The lessons are coming. Just one moment. We need this context. In one airport for 6 hours, then getting on a flight, getting to another airport, taking an hour to find out that my flight had been canceled, then having to stand in a line for 5 hours, like literally no pee breaks, no anything, standing up in a line for 5 hours, to then be told that I would need to wait another 8 hours at the airport to get my suitcase. Finally being rescheduled to a different flight, taking an hour to find an Uber, going to the hotel I had booked online, to then be told that the system was faulty and they didn't actually have rooms. This is midnight by this time, been out since 4 a.m. Finding another hotel, then the day after going to my other flight, taking an hour to my line, like the check-in line, then 2.5 hours before delay, then getting on the plane and getting stuck in the plane without moving for 4.5 hours. Then when I finally make it to Costa Rica, my suitcase that has so many valuable things inside and irreplaceable things got lost. All right, why am I telling you all of this? Because obviously this wasn't my preference, this wasn't my choice. I definitely had a couple of moments where I was like, oh my God, when is this going to end? And one particular instance where I experienced a lot of frustration and anger for a few minutes. Now, I saw people wanting to kill each other. I saw people being really mean to each other. I saw people arguing a lot. I saw people crying. I saw people breaking down. There were all different expressions going on around this. And for the most part, I would say 95% of the time, or perhaps 98% of the time, I felt very centered. I felt very grounded. I felt very calm. But not only in my body, there wasn't a lot happening here. Like I wasn't calm, but inside being like, oh my God, I need this to end. I was genuinely present. And I reflected upon why. And I wanted to share that with you because I found these two things to be incredibly helpful. So number one, I come from the belief that everything is always working out best case scenario for me. I believe that I am always winning, that God or life, the universe, call it however you want, is always conspiring in my favor. And because I believe this, and because I have this deep knowing inside that this is so, I was able to approach this situation with that same mentality, which meant I even got excited at times and curious, and in this playful hide and seek like game with God, available and curious to see why this was happening for me. So instead of thinking that this was happening to me and in some way I was losing, or this was, being something bad that was happening to me, I got really curious. It's like, okay, I'm always winning. I know that. Just don't always have the level of awareness or perception or the perspective to be able to see how I'm winning just yet. Sometimes I'm not zoomed out enough to see how I'm winning. So I remained curious. Sometimes I would even speak to God in my head. And again, God, life, call it however you want, whatever resonates for you. I was having this conversation. So, I wonder if there's a very interesting person I'm meant to meet and I would only meet them during this delay. Or, I wonder if there's a really special connection I'm meant to make and that would only happen in this plane. That wasn't the one I was going to take. Or, I wonder if, I would just be so curious. And I approached every interaction, every conversation, and every turn, like every time I would walk this way instead of that way at the airport because my gate was changed or anything like that, with so much curiosity. Because I had this idea that these two was happening for me and that it was a gift. So I was really curious. Yes, there were moments of tiredness and feeling fed up and just wanting to make it here and all of the things. But while I was in it, there was this curiosity and availability to find out where the gift was. Playing hide and seek with the divine. Where is my gift? Is there a person? Is there a connection? Is it an idea? Is it a new place? Is it an object? Where are my gifts? Why is this happening? And so I continued approaching the situation with this knowing that maybe this was happening because something unwanted or bad would have happened if I got here on time. Maybe that's a why, car accident, crime, whatever. But maybe it was because of a gift I was about to receive. And so I became really curious. And as I said, every time I would speak with someone, I would really listen for the gift in everything they were saying. Just knowing that the gift could have been hidden, as it always is in life, could have been hidden in the power of a sentence or the gift of a reframe or a new perspective, or the sweetness of a new connection or a new mirror. And so I went through the 53 and a half, some of those hours I was sleeping, but I went through that journey with this availability. And I wanted to share this because a gift came from that. Because I was so available and I was paying attention and looking at everything around me and seeing where's the gift? Where's the gift? Where is God hiding the gift? During one of the delays, I got redirected. One of my gate got changed. And instead of being on my phone and just doing my thing and walking, I was really paying attention. And I walked by this one store that I was in about a year and a half ago, looking at bags while on the phone with my dad. This was a few months before my dad died. So I was looking at bags and on my phone with my dad. And he shared some things, and one of the things was about a conversation he had with one of his aunties and how she asked about me and then what he said in response to her. And what he said in response to her made me understand in a way I had never yet understood to that degree how proud of me my dad was and how he spoke about me when I wasn't around. Now, I could downplay this because I'm tired, I'm 53 and a half hours and they lost my suitcase and oh my God, and fuck this, fuck that, and whatever. Or I could, and I did, take this as a massive gift. Why? If this is only a memory I get to have, I had completely forgotten about this. also, fun fact, it was my dad's birthday on the day that this happened, 2 days ago. So I'm like, of course, like, he's speaking to me. But I could have completely downplayed this and be like, oh yeah, memory with my dad, me, whatever. But I have no idea what the impact of this will be in my life, right? I had completely forgotten about that memory with my dad a year and a half ago until 2 days ago when this happened. And so if this is only a memory I get to keep for myself and just have like a sweet memory with my dad for the rest of my times, totally worth the 53 and a half hours and the delays and cancellations and everything. Absolutely worth it. But also, I have no idea what the impact of this long term will be in my life. I have no idea of the depth of healing that this could provide for my inner child. I have no idea how this may impact my perspective and the way I think about myself moving forward when bigger dreams or projects approach. I have no idea how this may impact my relationship to man. Like, I have no idea. So I can play the game of I know better. Life is orchestrating everything, but somehow I know better what needs to happen. This thing happened, but I know better. This thing happened this way, but I know better. Or I can remain available to what I don't know, that I don't know, and open myself up to the gifts that life is always showering me with. And so I chose to do that. And I wanted to share this because oftentimes we miss the gifts because we're so caught up in the thinking that we know better. That somehow there is something, someone, some people call it God, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, universe, life, call it however you want. But there is something, someone orchestrating this divine masterpiece. But somehow we want to think that we know better. That this is happening, but it shouldn't happen that way. It's silly. We are silly. We're silly in that way, and we all do it. I do it too. But this was such a powerful reminder for me because, again, life is going to life regardless. People think that surrendering and being grateful and available to life is a very spiritual whatever thing. It's actually just practical. Life is going to life regardless. Whatever gets to happen, it's going to happen regardless. And so we can have a tantrum about it and just keep holding on to it and pull as many people as we can into it. Like, hear about my shitty story, hear about my shitty story. And I definitely had a moment where I shared with a couple of friends because I happened to message in the moment or we were in conversation and I just wanted to get it off my chest, right? But again, we can make it about the thing and keep thinking that we know better, or we can actually be solution focused. This is already happening. So now I'm just going to look for the gift. And so this was such a powerful, beautiful experience and reminder for me. I get to keep that memory with my dad that I'm so grateful for. And also, I wanted to share this because this might be something that can help you today and for the rest of your life too, right? Life is going to life regardless. So we can have tantrums about lifing, or we can actually play this hide and seek with the divine. If we come from the understanding, and you can look back at your life and see how everything is proof of that. If we come from the understanding that we are always winning, that God is always helping us win, orchestrating the most divine, perfected weaving for us, and again, call it God or however you want, then we can remain available and curious and even play with and in those moments where otherwise we would collapse into frustration and despair and fear or anger or whatever it is. So a reminder I wanted to share with you. I love seeing your comments and seeing that this is landing for some of you. And if you're watching it later and you have any questions, definitely let me know. And the other thing, I said there were two things. The other thing was the power of a regulation practice, like knowing how to regulate our system in the face of stress and overwhelm and intensity, knowing how to heighten our voltage so that we don't collapse in the face of intense situations. And I got to really see that. Like, as I said at the beginning, I was not only calm from here out, but here in, I was too. And that's the most important. And that's the biggest gift that I see embodiment work gives us. Is that it's not just how we behave and respond or react to situations with others, but most importantly is about how we feel within ourselves as we navigate life. And that is like absolutely just everything. And so this is why I'm such a stand for this work, because when we do this work and start building safety in those corners where we have previously known danger or overwhelm, and we learn how to fully have our backs, then no one and nothing can fuck with us. Like, I felt so invincible throughout it all, just seeing like, oh, all right, it's going to take more than that to make me crack. It's going to take more than that to make me collapse. Yeah, this sucks to a degree. I dislike this in one way. And also, fucking bring it. And so I want to leave you with those two reminders or invitations. Number one, to remember that life is going to life. And so surrender is not necessarily a spiritual experience, but it's probably the most practical, solution-oriented, effective thing to do in the face of lifing. Also, we don't know what we don't know. So we may as well just play curious. And also, there's nothing quite as powerful as a truly embodied person. So, I hope this was helpful and it served you in some way. As I said, do ask me any questions if you have them. Happy to answer. And thank you for watching and for being here. Lots of love.